I've got a lot of medications in my system right now. I wish I could read Japanese.
I thought you were just going to say, I wish I could read.
I wish I could read.
I don't know how to freaking read.
You can't have someone like Darth Talon come in and overshadow them all. If she looked like her original design, she might take over
Too sexy.
the fandom.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to Last Week in Star Wars. I'm Alex.
I'm Molly. And this episode's brought to you by Concred.
Yeah, we are back from Japan and Star Wars Celebration, and I feel like I'm coming out the other side of it. This nostril's still pretty stuffy. I'm sure you can hear that.
Yeah, I'm still on the struggle bus, but I'm
doing
here.
Great. You're doing great, sweetie.
I'm here. I've got a lot of medications in my system right now, a lot of caffeine. Feel great.
So if we say anything that's absolutely unhinged, blame that.
Yeah.
Blame the medicine.
Plus jet lag.
Also jet lag. Again, I think I'm coming out the other side of that. We went to sleep really early last night, and I woke up at a normal time today. I slept through most of the night. I still woke up randomly here or there, but I feel like it's settling itself out.
We're still like waking up in the middle of the night thinking that we're in one of our hotels.
I'm not doing that anymore.
Oh, okay.
Just you.
Just me. I just like had that moment of panic at night sometimes, and I'm like, wait, where am I?
The first
home.
night back home, I was like, where am I? What's this dog doing here? But we're going to talk about some of the news. Obviously, there's a ton of news that came out of Celebration. We covered all of the big announcements individually, but there are a couple things that we did not address. So I'll put a playlist to all of our Celebration coverage if you want to watch that. But there were a couple of announcements like Rebuild the Galaxy 2 is coming out later this year.
Yeah, that was announced on the Star Wars Live show stage.
Yeah, and they put out a poster that included Brickhead's Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah, and
like,
Jackson.
And yeah, I was going to build to him. There was like the Chewbacca that you kind of have to assemble, and a Jackson minifig who's going to be played by Ben Schwartz, which honestly, phenomenal casting.
Huge news.
I love that. I mean, Ben Schwartz has been in Star Wars since 2015. He helped create BB-8's voice. He played Teo in The Bad Batch. But this just feels so right. Like, this is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man levels of casting, where I'm like, absolutely yes.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
He is supposed to be a kind of obnoxious character. And that's exactly who John Ralphio is, but also someone that you love to watch.
Yeah.
Like, he's delightfully obnoxious.
Is Ashley Eckstein doing Ahsoka's voice?
Yes.
Okay, good.
She is doing Brickhead.
I don't know who else
Ahsoka.
would. I guess Rosario maybe, but she's busy filming season 2 of Ahsoka.
And I'm curious to see if Ashley portrays Brickhead's Ahsoka any differently. Like, maybe a little goofier or maybe more serious. I don't know. Like, what is Brickhead's Ahsoka? What's her personality like?
Maybe she needs to sound more serious because she looks a lot more goofy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're going to lean into the goofy or, balance it out.
I mean, it's Lego. Chances are it's leaning into the goofy.
Probably. But yeah, this being like the first time we're going to get Jackson on screen is pretty big. And also, season 1 ended in such a way that it definitely could have used a sequel. So I'm glad that they clearly already had that in mind. And we're going to continue that story.
I kind of hope that there's a running joke in the series that, like, no one really knows who Jackson is, and he has to keep being like, I'm Jackson, I'm so-and-so, and, like, people are like, who are you again?
Honestly, I think that would be great, just because he is one of the oldest Star Wars characters, and he can be like, I've been around here forever. This also makes me realize that we might get a Jackson minifig. Like, there could be more Jackson merch.
Yeah.
And I recently-ish did a whole video about how important I think Jackson is to Star Wars and what he means. And I mostly did it for Kevin Scott. Like, that was my target audience. But
I hope there's a character that is somehow involved with Jackson that's kind of like named after Kevin Scott.
That would be fun.
In the show.
Yeah, I just think that Jackson is going through such a renaissance, and I think that Kevin Scott really drove that. I don't know that we would be getting him in Rebuild the Galaxy if it weren't for Kevin Scott continuing to keep him alive. I just always think back to the 2015 Star Wars comic reboot when Marvel got the series back, and one of the alternate covers was like Uncle Buck with Luke and Han and Leia like keeping Jackson out as if they were like fixing a mistake from the old Marvel run. And Kevin Scott's like, no, and put him in all these comics. And now I feel like Jackson has become more and more well-loved. Like, yeah, he is very goofy and silly and obnoxious, but he's got his fans.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Scott's worked very hard to get where he is now, and I think deserved a chance to do that for a character that he loves so much. And I would have loved to have seen that conversation with, like, Michael Siglain or whoever of, like, I want to do this with this character. And they're like, okay.
Very few people are in a position to keep their Glupshido going forever.
Somewhat relevant. I did do a Jackson cosplay at DragonCon last year, which I worked really hard on, and it was kind of like a Lady Jackson look. It wasn't exactly his outfit, it was more inspired by, but a lot of people at DragonCon thought that I was Bucky O'Hare.
Right.
Which I was like, I don't know who that is. And then we found out who that was. It's a like rabbit character.
Oh, I knew who Bucky O'Hare was.
I found out who that was, and it's a rabbit character from an old video game. And turns out we saw the video game in Japan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was like, oh my God, it's Bucky O'Hare.
When we were in Akihabara, where there's like a bunch of just old video games and stuff to look through, we saw the Bucky O'Hare game, and I was like, full circle. I would have bought it had it not been so expensive.
Yeah, it was in like pristine condition.
But this might be a good time to revisit the Jackson costume since he's coming back.
I think
again.
so. Because it's going to be at DragonCon this year. I think just around the corner will be Rebuild the Galaxy 2. September 19th this year. It's going to be a 4-part series just like the first one was. So kind of like a long movie, but broken into 4 chunks.
Yeah, I like that for a Lego Star Wars story.
I did too. I was surprised by how good Rebuild the Galaxy was. Like, I always enjoy the Lego Star Wars sense of humor, but the fact that it ended and they didn't rebuild the galaxy and they were like, no, like, this is a decision you made and there's no going back. And you cannot fix this the way you want to. You have to now make the best of a bad situation. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
I just thought this was going to be all wrapped up in a nice happy bow by the end.
You have to live with the consequences of your actions.
Yeah, it was good. And, you know, I haven't talked about Jedi Bob yet, but Bobby Moynihan's Jedi Bob was a lot of fun. I assume he'll be in this too.
Yeah.
The other little piece of news that was dropped randomly is that Young Jedi Adventures is getting a 3rd season.
Yes.
Which that also had not been confirmed, but we finished season 2, and just like at the end of season 1, and kind of like Rebuild the Galaxy, I just keep expecting each season to finish and be like, and it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess it's just the nature of streaming right now is that I'm expecting all of this stuff to act as if it's not going to get another season. But each season finale, I'm like, oh, this isn't over. So they're doing a 3rd season, which I was surprised to see announced at Celebration, but delightfully surprised.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because the shorts that they're playing for free on the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel, I wonder if it's because those are doing really well, and the more kids watch those, the more they might be trickling onto Disney Plus to watch the actual episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked on YouTube to see how those are performing because
they won an award.
Yeah, they've won like Emmys and stuff, but
for the shorts that are free on YouTube to watch.
Oh, okay. So yeah, maybe. And I mean, I think it's valuable to have a very young entry point for Star Wars that is also like genuinely pretty good.
Yeah.
As an adult who still watches it, partially just to know, keep up with everything and go like, oh, it's the Nile.
Yeah.
All these violent pirate marauders are in this kid's show.
Yeah. And we've been talking about this, like how they should approach stories like this. They're giving it time to breathe. They're giving it multiple seasons. And it is a little bit easier for animation to do that because they do a lot of that stuff so far in advance. But I'm happy to see that they're giving these characters a lot of time to like settle in and grow with each other and connect with the rest of the universe, so that the more kids watch the shorts, the more they'll want to watch the episodes, and then they'll be like, when's the next season? So
there's not a long wait in between seasons either, which makes sense if it's for a young audience and like they grow up fast and they're going to grow out of this fast.
I'm pretty sad that we missed out on the Nubs meet and greet, now that I think about it.
There was a full-on meet and greet?
I think so.
Oh,
but I think
you had that on your bingo card, is that we would get a picture with Nubs.
I think it was in the kids area, and we just never made it
over
over there. I know, and like, I wanted to meet him so bad because he's so huge, and he did his little dance on the stage.
I saw that.
I'm sad.
Speaking of bingo cards, I think that's basically it for the news we didn't really get around to, but we did want to run through our guesses. We're not going to cover every single thing. I figured we would just talk about the stuff we did get right. A lot of it surprised me too. We got 7 things right. We didn't actually make the bingo cards. So in theory, we could have gotten bingo.
I say 7 things. That's a bingo.
That's a bingo?
That's a bingo.
That's over a third.
Bingo's what, 5 across?
Yeah.
Or down or across?
Or diagonal.
Yeah.
So we got, out of 25 things, we got over a quarter.
We really should have put that in a bingo card format.
I know. We could have in theory gotten bingo.
Yeah.
Although you did point out that we didn't get our free space, which was a floor beer, which they just weren't selling beer on the floor like they do at other conventions. So
yeah, and the floor was pretty cramped.
Yeah.
At this one.
We did get a lunch beer.
And not very big.
We got a lunch beer, and we did see some people walking around. We saw some people with floor beers, and I was like, "Where'd you get that?" And he went, "Oh, hi, Alex." So he knew who I was and was like, "Oh, Alex wants to go get drunk."
No, Alex wants a floor beer so we can get bingo.
Yeah, I'm trying to get bingo. This is very important.
But they pointed us upstairs to like a little food court area. So technically you could get it from up there and then bring it all the way back down, but it was just like kind of a nightmare to get in and around those places.
We found seats. I got a good curry. I wanted to sit and enjoy it.
Oh, sitting down for a meal?
Could you imagine?
In this day and age, in this economy? That was a treat.
So for things that we got right, a new animated series was announced. There was a trailer, kind of, for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Nothing publicly released, but we got to see one. The first episode of Andor was shown. You guessed it would be a full arc. I guessed it would just be the first episode. So it would have been on both our bingo cards, so you still would have gotten it.
I definitely should have thought about that one a little more, because thinking about episode 3 of that arc, I'm like, yeah, they probably didn't want to show that at Celebration.
That's true.
A little intense.
That's a good
for everyone.
Point. There was Sean Levy movie talk, which I was not expecting, and we're going to talk about some of this news when we get into questions. Tim Morrison and Daniel Logan did a haka together,
which we didn't see until after the convention was over, but I'm so glad that we saw that, because I was like, yes.
Yeah, so we got that one. The Ninth Jedi got not 1, but 2 sequels. Big news.
Amazing.
And speaking of big, I got some new Biggs merch. So I figured we would take a moment to show off some of the stuff we got. And you can see who got more merch.
Well,
between the two of us.
Who's the cuter one?
Biggs. No, Grogu is. But that I was laughing at, we went into the Hot Toys booth, and Molly has just like an armful of new Grogus, and I'm standing there with I was like, I got a trading card, which someone gifted to me.
That's
and
true.
I was very grateful for.
They didn't have any trading card shops. Like, no one was there specifically to sell cards, which is wild, because almost every other celebration or convention even. There's tons of cards.
Just like multiple booths full of just trading cards, and you got to like sift through. Or at London, I took my action figure and I was like, have you seen this man?
And we keep in contact with the guy that helped you find those cards.
He was like, I have seen that man, come back tomorrow. And he had some big stuff. But yeah, someone found me just to give me this signed Garrick Hagon card.
Amazing.
Which, it's wonderful. It's part of the 40th anniversary collection. It's a card I did not have, so I did walk away with new Biggs merch. Also, I found this action figure set at Starcase, which is a Japanese Tokyo Star Wars toy store.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like 98% sure this action figure of Biggs is the one that I brought to Japan, but I'd never seen it in this packaging, so I had to get it.
Like a BFF packaging.
Yeah, it's Biggs and Luke. I think the helmet and the chin strap were slightly different. I had mine out and I had that one and I was kind of comparing, but I was like, I'm getting it for the card.
Yeah.
The card back.
I want to say something about Starcase real quick. Really, really cool place. I had taken an Instagram story like as we were going up the stairs to go into there. And at the time, I didn't see the signs that said don't film in here. But plenty of people shamed me for it in our DMs on Instagram. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone who was offended by that. But the guy in the shop did not care at all.
I kept having to show him pictures like of what I wanted to look at.
Yeah.
Because he was just sitting chilling. He's not going to get up unless someone needs help. So I found that and I took a picture. I was like, can I get that? And I also had to take a picture of the Japanese Heir to the Empire.
That looks great. The cover looks so good on that.
I was so thrilled to find that. Yeah. That's another thing that I collected a lot of was just vintage Japanese Star Wars books. Also some not so vintage. I was on the lookout the whole time we were in Japan for the Japanese covers of Into the Dark, Out of the Shadows, and Midnight Horizon because they are just like manga, anime inspired, and they look so great. Fortunately, they were selling them at Celebration, so I got them there, but it was fun to hunt for them too. A
lot of the books there, they sell like a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah, so each Into the Dark has 2 covers, and all 3 books are split into 2.
And we did get some
very neat.
We did get some art prints with those that we weren't expecting to get, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I managed to find, so when we went to Book Off, which is the big chain bookstore in Japan, once I figured out to look for the Lucas Books logo on the spine here, I was able to find a lot more books, and I managed to find the Revenge of the Sith one, which has a really neat cover, and I was like, this is fitting.
You got Revenge of the Sith. We also got several of the new Jedi Order books because they all have exclusive to Japan covers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I grabbed as many of those as we could find.
I wish I could read Japanese.
I thought you were just going to say, I wish I could read.
I wish I could read.
I don't know how to freaking read.
So yeah, I was prepared for the Hot Toys purchases that I was going to make because we had seen a lot of these ahead of time and just so many little cute Grogus to buy. And luckily, these little guys, so these are all little bobbleheads, and they luckily sold this in a pack because otherwise it was going to be like a loot box situation and you could just get one at a time, which I don't do the loot box thing typically.
That was stressful.
Very stressful. So I had to get that set. These are really cute. They're giant plushy keychains, which we got a lot of keychains in Japan.
We did.
Keychains are a huge thing over there, and we're going to have to adopt that as a thing here, I guess, now. But they could also be Christmas ornaments or something. But those two are really cute. And then got this little guy from the Celebration store. It's like a lucky cat statue with the arm, except it's Grogu.
We were going into Celebration Japan I hope they have a Lothcat lucky cat, but
yeah,
they did make a shirt of it, and the Grogu one makes sense as well.
It's really cute. And then I had to get a couple extra Jar Jars because this is the cutest Jar Jar I've ever seen. And then the special edition glitter Jar Jar to go with our glitter Grogu.
And I got a little Neil because he looked real cute. But outside of Star Wars, I got a bunch of Luigi stuff, as much as I could find in used vintage shops. Or
We got to do the Nintendo Museum.
The Nintendo Museum, which was a lot of fun.
And the big Nintendo store in Kyoto.
I did get myself a Goku, not a Grogu, a Goku from my Dragon Ball Z days, but just found like a cool action figure. And I was like, I don't think I have any Dragon Ball Z stuff, but that was a big part of my middle school, early high school self.
That makes me think I'm sure this has been done, but a custom Grogu doll that's Groku.
I mean, it's like a fusion, yeah.
Doing the Kamehameha, and he's got the hair.
Like Gogeta or Vegito, do a little Groku.
I need that in my life. I got a lot of Sailor Moon stuff, which for me was like a big part of my childhood and adolescence, and I also got a lot of gifts for my girlfriends who also grew up with that show, and we got to go to like a dedicated Sailor Moon store in, I think, Tokyo Station, and it was just a little bit overwhelming because I had never seen that much Sailor Moon merch in the same place because they didn't really sell it in America. I remember Media Play was the first.
Media Play.
That was the first place I'd ever seen a piece of Sailor Moon merch in person, and I about fainted.
I loved Media Play.
Yeah,
it was a great place. That's where I got like all my Star Wars books growing up, and my Weird Al albums.
Yeah.
Actually, they were cassette tapes at that point. But anyway,
so consider yourselves lucky if you're a Sailor Moon fan now, and they've made a bunch of cute new merch for it.
The last thing, one of my favorite finds was the Japanese version of Link's Awakening, the Game Boy game. That was like my video game growing up. It was my first Zelda game. I just didn't even know games could tell stories like that at the time, and I was obsessed with it. I still am. I play it at least once a year. So I just saw the artwork for it, and I was like, oh my god, A, it looks way better than the Game Boy art. B, I was just like, I just had to have that. I was so excited. I stumbled on that in a random store in a mall.
We could probably do kind of like a shadow box frame for that.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Although, like, if I can get another Game Boy, I might play it. And the last thing we got that we wanted to show off is a couple of art prints. This one is from Joe Hogan, Darkness on Umbara. Very cool. Clone Troopers on Umbara. I mean, the title says it all, but yeah, this is just so sick.
That looks like a frame from the show. It looks really, really good.
You got Rex and Jesse and Fives, and like, it's not just generic clones, it's like the clones you want to see too.
Yeah. I have to shout out Candace Daly. She's at the Daily Doodle on Instagram. She did this print exclusively for Celebration of Chimere, which looks amazing. But she reached out to us and said that she wanted to give us a copy of this, and saw that I had commented on one of her other pieces and managed to snag me one. And it is, of course, Dark Ray, and it looks so good.
It's so sick.
I cannot wait to frame this and put it up somewhere, probably my office, but it looks so sick. So thank you so much, Candace.
But that's it for our Celebration coverage, so we're going to move on to last week in Canon. Obviously, Andor is back. We've already put out the review for that. I don't know if we will have streamed about it by the time this comes out, because we're still not feeling great, and maybe we will have gotten a stream done by Thursday. We're going to stream about it before the next episodes come out. We're just trying to recover. But I wanted to spend more time on, I guess, you know what? Our Celebration coverage isn't over, because we did get Beyond Victory, the exclusive comic that was at Star Wars Celebration. We were invited to go play that mixed reality game. I played it. You just recorded me looking like a fool with the headset on. It was fun. It was interesting. Now, like, I had a bunch of questions about what does mixed reality mean, and now I know. It's that sometimes it was just full-on VR, like playing Tales from the Galaxy's Edge or Vader Immortal. It felt like that. But then you would go into like this pod racing mode, and you would have kind of a game table, and beyond the table, I could see you and everyone around. So that's what mixed reality meant. But yeah, there is a pod racing game in it. It's kind of a top-down view where you're piloting a racer trying to win. I got third place, which I felt wasn't bad for my first attempt. It was frantic and hard.
They seemed impressed by your gameplay.
They may have just been being nice.
Maybe. Buttering us up.
But we did also get the comic, which sets the stage a little bit. It introduces us to Volo Bolas, who is the main character who you play in the Beyond Victory game. He is a pod racer. He's got friends who are pod racers. One of them is Deland Tyrell, Rats Tyrell's son. So that's
carrying
fun.
The legend on.
Deland, either in Legends or Canon, or maybe both, but he started a foundation after his father's death to help speak about the dangers of pod racing. But in this, it sounds like he is also a pod racer, or at least he's friends with some.
Yeah.
But yeah, Volo gets second place in a very difficult race, and has to like fix his pod racer in the midst of all that. It's a very, very Anakin move, actually, but that catches the eye of Sebulba, who needs someone who's decent at racing to do something with him. We don't know what, but that's in the game.
Sebulba looks like he's got some fancy new drip.
Yeah.
He is decked out.
They also mentioned that he is like disgraced as a pod racer and maybe kicked out of the circuit. So I think he's trying to work his way back in.
Well, it's about time. How long did he cheat and get away with it?
I think that's every single pod racer.
Are there any humans playing as pod racers?
No.
Oh, that makes sense.
There's only one who can do it. The other story that came out this past week is Edge of Balance 4. I believe it is the final manga in the High Republic Initiative. As far as like story goes, it was basically just the Nile attacking the planet Banshee again and being routed again, which happens like every single time. But the coolest part about it was Aslan Rel is around, and he's dealing with some children, like Jedi younglings, who he just notes treat him like a human being and not like a monster.
Yeah.
And Wreath says something like, well, that's because they don't know what you've done. But their innocence kind of helps him. He has to protect them at some point. And I think it's just driving him a little bit closer back to the light side, which we know that he's in Trials of the Jedi. He's going to be one of the Luminous Nine. So he has been maybe my favorite part of Phase 3, just in all the stories he's appeared in. So I liked this development for him.
He is an interesting character that a lot of the other characters, the other Jedi, either don't trust at all or like are very hesitant to trust, and then Yoda being the one to kind of bring him into the mix is just really, really interesting that he would go to him to try to help, but he might be the only person that can help them.
And we'll see. Like, his relationship with Wreath is great, and I mean, Wreath is one of my favorites in the High Republic, but yeah, just using Aslan at the start of Phase 3, where he like rips his cloak off and his robes are covered in blood, and he's like, also, I have no eyes. And you're like, what is going on with this dude? I love him.
Yeah.
But that's it for last week in canon, so we're going to move into some questions that we haven't been able to answer for the past couple weeks. First up, Ben Chance asks what our favorite Star Wars Celebration announcement was.
It's hard to choose between Starfighter and Maul.
Those are my top two as well.
I think the Maul show might be hitting for my number one spot.
That one, because it's so close. I mean, it's still 2026. It's not like it's right around the corner, but it was a huge relief to get, like, yes, another ongoing animated series is on the way. Not only that, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
The trailer was awesome. That's up there, but I was not expecting anything about Sean Levy's movie to be talked about, much less to get a title announcement, much less it be a pilot story.
And the fact that Ryan Gosling was there.
Confirming that, and Ryan Gosling walked out, and I guess he'll be playing a pilot, which I think, like, that guy can just do so much. He can be a a cocky, funny pilot, or he can be a serious, stoic driver. I mean, pilot. Like,
Yeah.
he has so much range, and I like him in just about everything I've ever seen him in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I've been so sad about Rogue Squadron ever since it was pushed to the side. So to hear like the next movie after Mando and Grogu is gonna be about a pilot of some kind, I'm like, okay, that felt great. To maybe I was the one cheering loudest in that room. I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, I'm excited to have Ryan Gosling's charm and wit in Star Wars. I think he's going to be a perfect fit.
Yeah, like it makes me want to go back and watch like Blade Runner 2049 and Drive, but also
And
The Nice
Barbie.
Guys and Barbie. Like or Crazy Stupid Love, even. He's great in that. He can do it all. But yeah, the fact that that is so much farther in the distance, it's 2 years away. I'm happy to know some details about it, but I do think Maul might edge it out just because we're so much closer to that.
The Maul stuff is interesting because like Maul is such a popular character, and it's cool to see how they've inserted him into all these nooks and crannies throughout the timeline. And I mean, bringing him back from the dead was like the big one. But this period of time is interesting, and like the way Maul is coming into the Empire and kind of being like, I think I knew what the plan was, but this doesn't feel like what the plan should have been. Like he's kind of taken back by what the Empire is and how it operates.
Yeah, like he knew what Sidious wanted to do, but maybe he didn't fully understand it.
And hearing Sam Witwer talk about coming back as Maul, like, was so fun for everyone. Like, everyone is excited to see him come back, and he just understands Maul's character so much. And hearing him talk about how Maul is like from a time and an age of like magic and wonder, and then having him come into the like industrialism of the Empire, it's like they don't really mesh, and I cannot wait to see what that looks like.
Yeah, and I keep making jokes about, you know, Dryden Voss. Maybe finally they're going to use that that model
Maybe
that they made
you'll
for
get
the
your
Clone
Dryden
Wars.
Voss.
But yeah, just Maul's journey in animation has been so wonderful from when it first happened. And I was not watching the Clone Wars at that time. I had just read that Darth Maul came back and was alive, and I was like, what? This is stupid.
What?
And then I actually watched the show and was like, okay, this is some of the best stuff in an already great series.
Mm-hmm.
And now every time Maul pops up, it's so much fun. And the fact that this might be taking inspiration from like George Lucas's ideas for the sequel trilogy, where he's at least thrown out the idea that Maul would be a villain during that time, and he would be a criminal underlord, and that he and Darth Talon were friends.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't know that this Twi'lek is gonna be Darth Talon, but it at least seems like the idea is kind of inspired by that.
That was definitely an immediate vibe that I got, and a lot of people thought the same thing, just because the character is a Twi'lek.
Redskin Twi'lek, yeah.
Red or pink.
Yeah,
but like
it's close.
And kind of like training under the tutelage of Maul, and like kind of dark side. So it fits in a couple different ways. But honestly, I'm so glad that they didn't use the design.
Oh yeah, I mean like Star Wars animation. Let's dial it back a little bit. Let's be a little more realistic.
I think the design is cool for Legends and like for maybe comic books, things like that. Let's be honest.
Is it practical?
It was so over-sexualized.
Right.
Because, I mean, the time back then, it still happens today, but it happened a lot more back then. And like, I still love seeing cosplayers do the original Darth Talon look. It's a great look, but it just doesn't fit in the zeitgeist now.
And I don't think it would fit in the story at that point.
No.
Like, it's just not, especially when she was put into like the One Sith and all of those comics. It was very just like edgy. I mean, they were cool and fun to read,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, they're they were really going for it as far as edgelord stuff.
Yeah. And two, you can't have someone like Darth Talon come in and overshadow Maul. If she looked like her original design, she might take over
Too sexy.
the fandom. And
She walks in and Maul's like, well, I gotta take my shirt off.
Maul's not gonna let that happen.
John Lang asks what our biggest surprise was at Celebration. I'll start with this one because I guessed that we would get a Ninth Jedi sequel in Star Wars Visions Volume 3, but a Ninth Jedi sequel series, that took me by surprise.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I guess my biggest surprise would be the Starfighter thing.
I mean, yeah, that's fair, just because...
We kind of already touched on it a lot, but to me, I was not expecting any new movie news to drop. If we get any movie news, I was expecting it to be the stuff they had already talked about at the last Celebration. Things work differently now, I guess.
Yeah. Now
we're just like pushing new movie ideas ahead of the game.
Yeah, the Starfighter title reveal, that was a big surprise. Even when, they were talking about, Ryan Gosling is in this, I was like, oh wow, we got that confirmed. Like, that was enough for me. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they then went ahead and said, also here's the title.
I thought as soon as they brought Sean Levy out, I kind of was like, oh, they're going to give us a title and an idea of like what this is going to be. Because I was like, they wouldn't bring him all the way to Japan to then not put out a title or anything.
That's interesting, because I went the other way and I was like, Ryan Gosling's here. Or I thought they would show who the star was, but for whatever reason, I just thought it was too far out to reveal the title. So that completely took me by surprise.
But the Ninth Jedi series idea was a very nice surprise for the last day.
Knowing that they're going to probably not just do the Ninth Jedi, but that they're going to have this whole Star Wars Visions Presents line, and they're going to they just called it like long form storytelling. Could be more series based off of Visions volumes, or it could be a movie. I don't know. Like, that excites me. I love the Visions idea of like, let's just let people play in Star Wars and go wild. I mean, watching that trailer where the astromech turned into like a tiny little like mecha suit.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so sick. That's so much fun.
And like, there's so many anime fans out there. Why not, if they're anime fans and maybe not Star Wars fans or like very casual Star Wars fans, that's a huge market to pull into Star Wars and say, hey, look, like, we have something for you guys too.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be interested, because Visions Volume 2 was not just anime. So like maybe the Screecher's Reach, my favorite one from Volume 2, could get a sequel or something at some point. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they'll just tell a totally new animated or even live action story that they're like, this is Star Wars Visions. It doesn't connect to anything else you've ever seen before, but there's a lightsaber in it.
Can you imagine getting like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon Star Wars film?
That'd be wild.
That would be really fun.
Yeah. But we're going to go through all of the footage we took. I did try to vlog quite a bit. We got a new camera just for this trip, which I fell in love with.
Worked great.
Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of footage to sift through, but we'll try to put together a vlog of some kind about our Japan trip in total. But that's it for last week in Star Wars. We're going to go give our voices a rest, blow our noses, continue to recover,
figure out when we're gonna stream.
Yeah
I've been trying desperately not to mouth breathe directly on the microphone because
you're doing
I'm so
great.
Stuffed up.
But if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel,
follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Blue Sky,
and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.